review. Book 101 is about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's a coach and, of course, a fellow podcaster and as well as a best-selling author. No other than Mr. Joey
How
Ruffalo.
you doing, Daniel? Good to be here.
Yes, fabulous, Mr. Joey. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Yeah, so I am a coach, personal finance coach, small business coach. I'm a best-selling author. I have a podcast, a radio show here in East Tennessee, a live stream on YouTube as well. Basically, that's me in a nutshell. Community advocate. We talk about leadership. We talk about community. We talk about small business and personal finance on our show. With a little bit of faith kind of mixed in, and it's been a fun journey. Um, like you said earlier, best-selling author as well of one and a half books. So working on my second solo book right now, and just having a great time being you know doing what we're doing.
Yes, having a great time is something else. You have the passion of what you're doing. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations, Mr. Joey. Congratulations for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And today, let's talk about the writing process of all
hmm
your books. So, what does your pre-writing ritual looks like? Is there a specific environment, tool, or mindset you must establish before the first word hits the page?
So it's funny you say that. When I worked on my, it's on the screen. So the first book that got published was The Transformation Within. I was an author in the multi-author book. I wrote a chapter in there. And the second book that I published was my solo book, The eBay Seller's Guide to Financial Planning. I wrote an eBay Seller's Guide to Financial Planning about 5 years before I released it. And before I wrote the chapter and the transformation with it, it was part of a project for me when I got my MBA to write a book for like a niche book for authority, et cetera, giveaway and stuff like that. So I wrote the book, but I wrote the first draft of it. And once I was done writing, I didn't want to look at anything to do with this ever again. So I never went back and edited it. I never looked at it again. I just kind of left it on my computer. And then after I wrote the chapter in the Transformation Within, I was like, I might just go back and just fix this up and release that as well, since it's already kind of done. And I realized that uh, I'll show you an example, Daniel. In my
Go
my
ahead.
upcoming book that I haven't finished yet, I have. Let's see if I can find it here. Where is it? Good example. It's hard to see on here, but I have a lot of. So I write the book. I just write it. I
Mm-hmm.
just spew out thoughts in my head, and then I get it printed, and then I go back and I read it again. And when I read it, I edit it. So I write like notes in the margins, and I write add this here, move this around. So for me, that's how I do it. I can read it again on a computer screen, but I like to see it in my hand, and I mark it up, and I completely tear it to shreds. And then I take what I'm doing in here and I put it on my computer and I fix it into a second completed draft. So that's how I operate. I just like to do it, get it all out, and then I go back and I fix it. But I like to get it in something that I can hold and carry with me and like write in and margin, and so that's my process. So that's what I ended up doing with the eBay book is like I went back and I just tore it to shreds. And a lot of it was like, I don't know what I was thinking here when I wrote this. Because I just write it so fast and then kind of edit it. Now you learn more during the process and you learn more over the last few years and you figure you're smarter. So I'll add a little bit more and a little bit more. But that's the tough one with the current book is I keep adding things that are current. And at some point I have to say to myself, anything that happens after December 1st, I can't include in this edition of the book because I'll never be done writing it.
Interesting process, Mr. Joey. And beyond
Yeah,
right
it's a weird
every
one.
yes, beyond right every day, what is the one daily or weekly habit that above all others sustains your creative process and protects your writing time?
Well, I think two answers to that one. One is this concept of always be learning. So always trying to learn something new, whether it's a writing style or a technique or an editing process, or even with like podcasting, new tools to use. Like for example, we're in Riverside right now. I've never used that. I never used that product. I use StreamYard or Restream. So seeing how Riverside is working, I'm like, I'm intrigued to learn that and see how that works for me as a host. So I'm intrigued by always be learning different things to help me uh, ease my day or my time constraint, and that leads into the time constraint. So I in my calendar every day I have a blocked off time to work on my book. It's in my calendar. So I get notified 10 minutes before the time hits. It's like, hey, time to work on your book or time to work on editing, and I give myself, you know, I have blocked in here 30 minutes. Sometimes I do less because of the chapter I'm on. If it's more of a heavy chapter or requires a lot more research for that topic, then sometimes I'll delay it a little bit and give myself a little bit more time later on. Like I'll bank sometimes. Like I work 20 minutes today. I'll work 40 minutes tomorrow, but I put it in my calendar. I think that's the most important thing is blocking off the time to intentionally work on it. I can't just pick it up in the middle of the day and go, I got 5 minutes to edit. I'm gonna do something. No, once I start doing it, it's gonna take a process. It's gonna be a while, and I usually try to edit to certain points. So again, in the book here that I'm working on now, I have like bullet points. So I have like chapters, and then like inside the chapter, there's like subsections. So I'll try to be like, okay, let me get to at least to this subsection, so I'm not in the middle of something. And if I do that, it's only taking me 20 minutes, then I'm done for the day. I try not to do more than 30, just for my own sanity.
And Mr. Joey, are you a dedicated minimalist or a maximalist? What is in your essential writing toolkit and why?
Oh, good question, dude. As far as minimalist, I definitely have a lot of stuff. I'm looking around behind me and around everywhere. So there's definitely a lot of stuff. But when I am editing, like it's it's literally this book and a pen, and
Mm,
that's what I'm
yes.
doing. That's it. It's a book and the pen because I've already done it. The pre-process is different because the pre-process is definitely a lot of I am using my computer, I'm using notes, I'm researching the internet, I'm doing a lot of stuff where I'm going straight through and doing really heavy work with my computer and things like that. But once I get to this stage, it's second draft is the book and the pen, and then I'm literally now I'm going back and rewriting.
Mr. Joey, do you tend to be propelled into writing session by burning idea or a resonant character voice or a vivid image or a structural problem you eager to solve?
Hmm, that's a good question. I think for me, it's I write what I know, and to solve a problem for somebody through my own experience, and I think that's what I try to do, and try to bring my experience into everyday situations to let people know that what they're going through, somebody else has gone through, and if they're struggling with something, it's okay because I came out okay, and I'll show you what I did.
Yes, a great process indeed. And how do you manage the critical inner voice during the drafting phase? Do you negotiate with it or silence it or listen to it selectively?
I think I listen to it selectively, and then I don't listen to it for a while. Like, this is a process for me where, like, let's say I finish my first draft and I submit it to get my little ebook, get my little heart, get my copy. My
Okay.
copy comes, I don't necessarily sit down right away and start looking at it. Like, I'll take, man, this one that I have here, this one that I'm working on now, I'm 60% done editing. I've been editing it for 6 months
Six
because,
months.
yeah, because like I said, for me, it's a longer I'm always adding new things to it, but I had this what do you call it? Not like a feeling, but once I got all the words out on paper, like I felt complete, right? And then
Mm.
I didn't want to go back and revisit anything that I did because I didn't want to relive it. I was done with it. But editing it, you have to relive it. And then you're like, wow, why did I write that? And then you start second guessing yourself. And well, not second guessing yourself. You start, yeah, I guess second guessing yourself. That's probably the best thing. And you start looking at yourself like, why did I write that? Man, maybe I'm not a great writer. Maybe nobody's going to understand this. How do I explain this better? And then you really start putting lines through it and editing and completely changing. I'll tell you the eBay book on the screen. Between the first draft and what I finally published, it's probably 60% different. It's almost like a brand new copy, and that's what's happening with this new book too. It's like just getting the first stuff out, and then by the time I edit it and release it, it's going to be probably even worse, probably like 70 or 75% brand new material.
And Mr. Joey, when you hit a wall, be it writer's block, a plot hole, or a character who won't cooperate, what is your first most reliable strategy to get moving again? What do you believe this darkness is trying to tell you?
I definitely walk away from the project for a bit. Like, I don't force myself to edit. There's days where I don't edit actually, or don't write because I'm busy doing other stuff, but I know it's there. So I know, like, I'll have to get back to it at some point. So I don't let it consume me as much as I want to. I put my energy into other projects like podcast interviews or my radio show or other things. I know that for me this will come, um, and it'll come and be released and be done when it's supposed to be. So me finishing it right now and putting it out, and rushing and maybe neglecting my work or putting out a subpar product, that's just not the right time for me to put it out. So I know it'll come. So for me, it's like I said, for writer's block, it's just walking away from it and just ignoring it for a bit and then coming back to it when I'm fresh. And then maybe going back to the previous section and starting and rereading and go, oh, I see the flow now. I see what I was trying to do here and make this work. So I think that's the thing is though, Daniel. I write a lot. I'm not writing a lot of fiction. I'm writing a lot of nonfiction. Fiction. I'm writing practical. I'm writing step by step processes. I'm writing from not from my own experience. So I'm not really working on like character development or arcs for characters and things like that so much. So I could see my process is a little different than somebody who's writing a character driven story where they have to work on their three arcs and they have to work on protagonists and antagonists and how they all fit together and the whole culmination of a story making sense from start to end. Mine's more like a step by step process kind of book or like a narrative of my own stuff. So it's a little different on how I can easily get back into something and walk away from it for so long.
Mr. Joey, as a best selling author, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, I think my short term goal is to just publish as much as I can and have people see it and try to affect as many lives as I can through the words that I put out. I mean, I'm happy that the book did well. The first book was like transformation. I was one of the authors of, like, I think there was 15 or 16 authors in there, and it was one of those, like, we did an international bestsellers, like 4 countries, United States and a bunch of other countries. So it was great to be part of an international bestseller and be an international best-selling author. But that translated into when I released my solo book. It became a number one new release on Amazon, and it was a number one personal finance book, which is my category. So I was really happy to have that. The people were trusting what I was putting out to be worthy of reading and to take to heart in order to follow. So that's why the next book's going to be even better, because the next book's going to be more of a not so niche into like an eBay space or an e-commerce space. That was just something I was working on at the time. Still do, but this next one's more of a broad-based financial planning or financial coaching, that get out of debt strategy kind of book, and things that I used to get out of $370,000 in debt. So that's, you're going to find a lot of my stories in there and my knowledge and things from my interviews with guests and things like that are going to be featured in this new book. Long term, man.
Well,
Long term is just keep growing and keep writing and keep putting stuff out there, keep producing content that people like. We're growing every day on our channel. Our podcast is growing every day. We're talking to, you know, bigger. I don't. All my guests are huge. We're talking to some big people all the time. Um, People are coming up wanting to come on the show now. When I see them out in public, hey, when can you come on your show? So that's been great. So I think long term is just keep the momentum going and having fun doing it. As long as you're having fun, it makes it worth it.
yes. Yes, definitely. And good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success. And what
Thank
will
you.
be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
Well, I say don't be like me, because I went through a whole crap load of stuff to get where I am today. I was $370,000 in debt. I burned a lot of bridges with family and friends. We went through the getting out of debt by ourselves. We didn't really have that much help or support. But that led me to do what I'm doing today. That led me to kind of be a driver and a catalyst to walk with people during their journey and help them along the way get out of debt. And that process allowed me to start doing business coaching as well, and helping businesses grow and helping people turn, side hustles like small time eBay businesses into thriving full on e-commerce businesses, and side hustles into careers. So I think the short of it, Daniel, is basically find what you love to do, double down on it, learn everything you can about it, and find how you can make it marketable to others, and then just go all in and have confidence in yourself. Have a 100% love of yourself, because you're going to get a lot of no's along the way, and those no's hurt. But every no that leads to a yes, and the yeses are great. But every no that you get could really be like a dagger to you if you're not careful. But if you know that you're 100% confident in yourself, and that no wasn't because of you just move on. You just let it go. I think that's the most important thing people need to take away from anything that I mentioned, whether it's through marketing, through business, through trying to get your small business going, whether you're trying to get something published at a publisher or whatever. Just keep plugging, just keep moving forward. Don't take, just keep going, and realize that you got it.
You got it, people. And thank you for that advice, Mr. Joey. Thank you. Thank you. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Yeah. The main book that I influenced my journey was probably The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, because that's the book we used to get out of debt and follow the steps and kind of started the process. Another one is The Psychology of Money, which is a great read. And I knew you were going to ask me this question, so I'm gonna look up the author specifically here. I want to make sure I get the right book right. The Psychology of Financial Planning is another great book, by Dr. Brad Klontz. He's actually the author of the book that probably influenced me the most in my career, going from financial planning to financial coaching, and it was called Facilitating Financial Health. It's a book for coaches, but it really was one of these things when I took a behavioral finance course as my one of my last courses, I decided I wanted to really double down into coaching as opposed to planning. So not really doing investments or how the money works in the market, but I really wanted to go to a deep dive in how you work with money and your relationship with money, what affects that, and how um, what triggers your emotional spending and things like that. So, Facilitating Financial Health really was a book where it kind of talked to you about from a therapist perspective or from a coach's perspective how to deal with others across the table from you, which was a great learning experience because not everybody comes into a situation with the same background, same knowledge, same experiences as you when it comes to money. So it's something described as money scripts that he talks about in his writings, where things that are imprinted on you at a younger age of how you view money. Some people are savers, some people are spenders, some people when they're emotional they go out and buy, and they don't, and then they reap the consequences later. And it's something that they've always been around. So how do we break that pattern? But also learning things that about different cultures and how they manage money and who in some cultures it's male driven, and some cultures it's equal, and some cultures it's female driven, some cultures are faith driven. So how I coach somebody is different based on a lot of information, and that book really helped kind of be a core to how I run my coaching business today.
Thank you for that recommended books, Mr. Joey. What was one piece of a common writing advice you passionately disagree with or have had to unlearn?
Oh, dude. Well, I didn't take any formal writing classes. Like, I wasn't in a creative writing class. I was really bad in English in high school. Like, I always get my tenses mixed up, like past and present. I just write with contractions. I think that's the one thing I'll say is contractions is the one thing that have been hard to learn, especially when trying to be formal in your writing. Is I'm a very informal person. So even if we're working together and you're across the table from me, I'm not in a suit and tie. I'm talking to you like somebody's talking, like a friend would talk to you. We're having a frank conversation. So I might use contractions. I might use some slang. I might use some, just some random language with you and stuff like that. Um, so trying to learn to be a little more formal in my writing, that's been tough for me to learn. So the contraction part to unlearn, and then just the basics of creative writing, like conjunctions and prepositions and past and present tense. That those are things that Daniel. It's when I'm done, I send it to an editor and I have them fix it.
Awesome, Mr. Joey. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season. Abstract poetry in second season. I'm my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in fourth season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 love letters. Movie 101 Review, Music 101, our fourth season, Science 101, Sex 101, second season, I'm a Baby Podcast, Mental Health 101, Law 101, Bible Verses 101, and Entrepreneurship 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So,
When do you
Mr.
sleep, man?
Joey.
When do you sleep?
Now and then. That's the number of question they asking me. Are you sleeping? Do you sleep? Yes,
I
said.
know. It's like, man, that's crazy.
Yes, I
I
am.
love it.
So, so Mr. Joey, if you could pass on only one sentence of advice about the writing process to the next generation of our generation, what would it be?
Yeah, it's gonna sound pretty cliche and pretty simple, straightforward. I would just say just start. A lot of times people have ideas in their head and they're thinking like, man, that would make a great story, or that would make a great poem or short story or something like that. Just start, just put it down. just write it. A lot of times, like for me, getting it out and putting it down on paper or putting it down on a Word document or something, it unclutters my mind. So instead of it being stuck up here, it's stuck over here, and it frees me up to be able to do a lot more creative and move on to the next creative process. But at least it's out of my mind. So just start, get it out. Realize the first couple things you're going to put out are probably going to not be great to the masses. They're going to be great to you because it's yours. But don't expect the first thing you put out to be Harry Potter. It's just not going to work.
Yes.
You'll,
Yes.
you'll eventually get there, and write. I would say write what you know as well. Like if I'm a if I'm in finance and I know money and I'm personal finance and relationships with money and behavioral and stuff like that, it doesn't make sense for me to write a book on chemistry. It's not going to work. So write what you know and just start doing it, and then you'll get better and better. It's like a muscle. You got to exercise it every day. And there's that old saying, it's like 10,000 hours at something to become proficient. That's true. So it's going to take a while for you to be proficient at what you're doing, but you have to do it in order to be proficient. So just start.
Yes. Start now, people. Start now and stop procrastinating.
Right.
And Mr. Joey Ruffalo, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support all your books, your advocacy, or your podcast itself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Daniel. So I have two books on Amazon right now. It's The Transformation Within and an eBay Seller's Guide to Financial Planning. But you can find me on YouTube. We have a live stream episode every Friday night at 6 o'clock Eastern time. We do a live radio show. You see behind the scenes where I'm interviewing a guest. Every Wednesday, right now, we're doing a live premiere chat. So it's a live premiere video where you get in the chat. We talk to whoever my person that I'm interviewing that week. And then come the new year, we're going to be doing live premieres on Monday and Wednesday, a live show on Friday, and a couple of videos throughout the day, throughout the week, just little prosperity points. It's youtube.com/at the prosperity lounge. You find at the prosperity lounge anywhere on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, which I don't do much with, YouTube for sure, and then any of your podcast networks. You can listen to an Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. It's just Prosperity Lounge with Joey Ruffalo.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Joey Ruffalo because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy like this to rise. So, Mr. Joey, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate being here.
Monica, people, see you soon. Yes, let's